Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Up for Discussions. It is our regular or semi-regular Sunday podcast where we gather at our Discord channel at 23 UTC+1 to talk about the progression of discussions and the different projects that are communities on Discussions itself. I saw some other miscellaneous topic that are related to our interests in this space. So we're going to start by just kind of giving a brief update of the project. We are wrapping up 2.5, which is our refinement of the site ever since we pushed out 2.0. We have an internal mobile, well, not internal, actually, you can go check it out now. We have a mobile version of the site available for you to test and play with over at beta.discussions.app. So go check it out. It is still very much under development, but it should be done relatively soon. It's been pretty good so far, and your feedback will be very valuable. Other stuff is we do notice there was a conversation about getting less on an exchange, so we just want to address that briefly. So obviously we are still in talks with various different exchanges, trying to negotiate a terms that is beneficial for the project. Now obviously we could pay to list on different sites without kind of going over what would be the priority for our project and what would be more beneficial. But we don't think that's a responsible use of the fund. We want to make sure that we select an exchange that has the interests of the traders on the platform. So again, we will have a healthy token volume and trading price. So we're doing that at the moment. Yeah. So Brian and Paul, you want to jump in and add to that?
Yeah, to add to that. So I mean, I think Brian had posted something that was pretty relevant. That an exchange is a two-way partnership. So we obviously want to get something out of it, which is a BTC pair and access to more liquidity. And the exchange wants us bringing a community along with us, and a project that can that can grow, and is set for that kind of trajectory. And I think we're doing that, and I think it's really just a matter of convincing the exchange that we're a good partnership. And I think as we've been growing the community, that's that kind of missing piece. So I'm hoping that we'll have made that argument strongly enough that we'll be able to get over that hurdle and get on an exchange that we think kind of works. So
and I just want to add to that. One of the things that we really like the exchange we're partnering with to do for us is to integrate our Unified ID solution into the platform. Because without that, it would be still very difficult for someone not to be EOS token holder and to trade and to hold their, hold their token off exchange, right? So that's another one of the piece of the puzzle that we're working on in the back. We want to make sure that the Unified ID system is mature enough for these exchanges to integrate. So again, the end goal of that is that an interested party could go to exchange, buy some tokens buy some hammers with BTC, with Bitcoin, and have it on the Unified ID instead of relying on an EOS account. Because us having dealt with the EOS architecture and the EOS account system, we know how difficult and confusing it could be at times. So that's another criteria we're looking at when we're looking at these changes, and we are making inroads in negotiating that term. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but we just ask you to be patient and trust that we are working on it and we are taking it very seriously, and it's not, we're not just delaying it for no reason. So, I think that's mostly our internal stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tons of news this week. So, we kind of had a chat internally just before this. This week has been a bit crazy. I know a lot of our audience is living in the United States. So, and the situation there is getting a bit hairy, and obviously Paul, is in the States at the moment in one of the hot spots. So we just want to make sure, kind of hope everybody who's listening is doing okay. Stay safe. It's crazy times, unpredictable times. So.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, it's getting wild around here. So but we're okay. But yeah, I think people should definitely take stock of the important stuff right now. So
Mm.
because things are fluid.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, we don't cover politics a lot. We don't cover politics too much on the platform, but it is obviously an area that is very close and dear to our heart. We want, like, one of the key tenets of the project is to make sure that free and open discussions lives on beyond centralized platforms. Actually, this kind of goes into one of the topics I want to bring up this week is, Twitter's been making some moves to, um, I'm not sure if I would call it censorship, but just to give the context. So, President Trump has been putting out some pretty inflammatory tweets about the protests. One that could be, uh, well, actually, there's actually so much going on. I can't even keep up. There's two particular tweets that kind of made the news. One was that he was tweeting out false information about vote mail-in ballots, and Twitter actually took steps to append his tweet with additional information, pointing people to another source that uh, that reputes his claim. And then the second one that he tweeted out not too long ago, which could have been seen as a call for violence, on top of everything, on top of all the protests that's been happening. So, as a social media platform, as a decentralized social media platform, we study these events very closely and kind of try to think about what we do in these cases. So obviously, we have 4 core members on the team along with the community. I put an article middle of this week, kind of addressing that. So my personal opinion on it is that I don't feel comfortable for a platform to be to be to be adding extra information on people's posts without their consent. Essentially, I feel like when someone makes a post, um, the whatever fallout, whatever blames that comes out of it, should go to that individual user. It shouldn't be on the platform. Shouldn't take it up on itself to kind of alter it. And this reminds me a lot of what happened on Reddit, actually, when the Reddit CEO actually went in and changed someone's comment. That was obviously much more nefarious and non-transparent versus something what Twitter's doing. Twitter's doing it this very openly and transparently, which should be applauded for their action. But my personal opinion is that I don't think a platform should be involved in altering information that the users put out in any fashion. So,
So
yeah.
and I take a different take. I mean, I think that a centralized platform has essential control over everything. I mean, they determine whether the tweet is even seen in the first place. They determine, whose things you're looking at, what kind of advertisement you see. Essentially the entire experience is routed through them, and you've essentially agreed that they are your moderator. And so you're using a platform, and their moderator has made a decision to clarify something that is on the platform. And since you can't opt out of their moderation, that is just sort of that is the framework that you're operating under. So I don't have a personal problem with a centralized platform making a choice to do it. I don't know if the practice is particularly going to be useful. I think they did it more as a way to fuck with Trump, to be honest. Like, I mean, they didn't link it to factcheck.org, which has the same information. They linked it to CNN, which is a clear troll move to paste a link to CNN on as a fact check to Trump. I mean, that's what you do when you want to mess with Trump. You push the CNN narrative on him, and it freaks him out. And they got the reaction that I think that they wanted, which was him to then make these threats about Section 230 and amending that. And if you start looking into that tipped his hand about how little he understands the law and how little he understands what the powers of the FCC are, what his powers are, how that regulatory body works. There's a lot to get into on that. I don't want to go into that, but I think that's what they were doing, possibly. Like, they were kind of testing the waters. It was kind of like a trial balloon. And so, then when he posted he posts on that, and then he posts again the incitement from a violence tweet. and they straight up put it behind a click barrier, right? So they said like this is this is sensitive or whatever. Once again, they're acting as the moderator for their platform, and I think that's the thing. I mean, I think if you translate what Twitter does to discussions, you could argue that, hey, you've chosen a moderator, and that moderator is posting a fact check as an option. Like if you had that ability, you could see that being like serving the user, because the user's like, oh, that's it. I like this moderator. They're providing me context, or they're providing some missing piece of information that has been left out based on the sort of falsehood that I'm being kind of presented. So that's what I'm saying. But some people might say, well, you can't do that. That's the user's post. It's like, well, it's the user's experience that matters at the end of the day. So I think if users don't like Twitter, they don't like the experience, they don't have an option within Twitter, but they could leave Twitter. And that, I think that's how it probably should be. Like you get your choice. Just because Twitter happens to be popular, it doesn't give you the right to have it be the way you want it to be. It's Twitter's choice to make those decisions. So, technically Twitter can remove anything from its platform. It has no obligation to not censor you. And like under the law, they're protected by that. That's what the amendment of section 230 would essentially do, is put the power of that decision in the hands of the government, which I think is a insane proposition, So this is, interesting times overall. I think ultimately the answer is more freedom for everyone, and that is, it comes in the hands of a decentralized system. And I think Jack actually said that he's not comfortable with this power, that it should be open source, and so I think this is just leading us down an interesting path, and I think this puts discussions right in the conversation in a lot of ways, because I think we've come up with some good solutions for this is a pretty tricky question, in my opinion. So
I agree. Oh, sorry, you're cutting out. So I think you're absolutely right. I think if it was a user's option to enable fact checkers, I think that would be a much different scenario. Versus right now, obviously, Twitter, like you said, is a private company. They have no obligations to, to enforce their rules equally. But I think and that's like another very interesting thing. Something just broke on Twitter actually. There's like this. They say Anonymous is active again, and it leaked intelligence about how Trump was involved in a sex ring with Epstein. And that's another thing, right? Like once you go down this path of being the arbiter of truth, and Mark Zuckerberg actually said this, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with him for once, is that you kind of have to become arbiter of truth for every single tweet, and that's a very hard thing to do. That's an impossible task. So I'm also thinking, like, in terms of just practicality, like how would you be able to do it in scale? I just don't think that's possible. So
yeah, I think that's the big issue. I think Twitter's standpoint is like, we don't have to. We can just put out the big fires, the stuff that has the most impact, and we won't worry about everything else. And maybe we'll eventually have a system that is scalable. It's obviously not. I mean, he mentions this idea of maybe taking Twitter into a more decentralized place. We'll see how long. I mean, he has his little strike force or whatever that are looking into decentralizing Twitter. So, I don't know. I think he probably thinks about these things. I disagree that, like, Mark Zuckerberg says that, like, you have to. Like, you don't have to. Once again, you can just choose what's the worst offense. Like, the worst offender will deal with that one. Okay, the next worst offender will deal with that one. Are we being politically biased? Like, you're biased on everything. So for a centralized platform, I think, again, they just do what they want to do. And there's really no accountability. I mean, it's the advantage we're going to be having in the way our system works. It could work any way you want it. You could provide fact checks on stuff, and people could like those, and they could be like, cool, I have an experience that helps me. But someone who doesn't give a shit, they just don't choose to use you, so they'll never even see the fact checks. They don't even know they exist. I think that's a good, and that's where I think we're solving these things in a way that people don't think about. They think it's like an all or nothing equation. Like, you have to do it this way, or you have to do it this way. And we're like, no, you can kind of do whatever you want. It solves the problem for everyone, because we just get to do whatever you want. You're not demanding a single system. So I hope to see this continue to play out, because it's funny because Facebook said that, or Mark Zuckerberg said that, but like technically he has like an arbiter of truth. Like he's trying to do that. He has this like whatever that panel's called. I don't know what they call it, but it's some sort of these are our true sources or whatever. And it's laughable because some of those sources are terrible. They're like they're a joke. So
I feel like Facebook is, I don't know, you know how like they selected a board with a lot of credentials, like Nobel Peace laureates, blah blah blah. But it really does feel like we're just doing this for show. Like
yeah,
it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't
no.
feel like that's an issue he takes to heart.
Right. It's like Mark Zuckerberg trying to pretend like he's a human being. That's what it feels like. He's like, look, guys, I'm a person. People have emotions, and I have those too.
Yeah.
So here's my proposition, and I can look at these great resumes. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been pretty down on Facebook for a long time because I think it is just kind of a festering cesspool in a lot of ways. But I do think it's a voice that's worth, I think the debate's worth having. I'd like to see Mark and Jack kind of go at it a little bit in terms of how things should run. It's good to get their opinions out in the open and on public record. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely have a lot more respect for Jack, even though I disagree with what the latest move. I think when there was actually kind of a dispute between how political ads should be handled, and Facebook is like, oh well, we shouldn't be the arbiter of truth, so we just take all these political ad monies anyway from anybody.
Right.
And just like, you know what? Okay, you could go that route, or you could just not take any political ads whatsoever.
Right.
Like,
don't be part of the problem, essentially, which is
it's like that's powerful because he's basically giving up like a large,
billions of dollars in the long run. Yeah. I know.
So that really gained a lot of respect. I gained a lot of respect with Jack for that.
I agree. I think he's generally at least thinking about things in a broader sense, and he's an interesting person in that sense. So yeah, I'm very happy that he's interested in cryptocurrency and has built business lines around it, because I think he will be a more interesting force within this broader ecosystem as it matures. So
you know whose voice been missing from this conversation now?
That would be me.
Oh no. I mean, Brian, you're a great listener. No, the voice who's missing is the Voice.com CEO.
Oh, yes.
So
we haven't actually heard anything from him.
Surprisingly, he's been very, very silent. So has been Bloomer and Larimer. So, obviously Voice. I'm not even sure what Voice is at this point. It doesn't seem like they're going for like the political, intensive crowd. It does seem like another run-of-the-mill social media platform, but with KYC. But even so, their slogan was "Everybody has a voice," and I would feel like this topic, again, we kind of throwing jabs at it, but like as a leader of a project like that, I think it's important to hear what they think, like what's their thought on it, because this is an important subject. What happens if this happens on Voice? Right? Would they censor it? Like, would false information be taken down?
And right, do you want to build go to a new social network and not know what the sort of people who run it and control it, because they're kind of hiding behind, well, it's decentralized, so everyone has a voice, it's great, but like that, we know it's not really. Like, we know that there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to get on the Voice. That there's definitely some level of control. So it would be. I agree with you. I think we should. Those questions should be asked of them. Like, what do they think, just to get them to weigh in, and because I would like to know what they think now before something happens, so that when see if there's consistency when they actually have to make the decision.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just thought that the absence of a tweet or a commentary, I don't know, it's curious, to say the very least. Well, now that we talk about EOS stuff, there's been a bunch of stuff happening. Block.One actually voted a few days ago. It didn't. it was a splash, but probably not as big of a splash as people pumped it up to be. So they have 94 million EOS staked to vote, but they only voted with 10 million in this round. And they voted for some pretty solid block producers. We have Attic Lab, Bitfinex, EOS Cafe Block, which is the one behind Blocks.io, EOS Hubei, EOS Rio, EOS Sweden, New Dex actually, OK Capital. I think that's the BP for another exchange. Star EOS and Team Greymass. So those are the first votes, and they'll be rotating the block producers in the coming weeks and months ahead as they kind of start to vote in faux. So yeah, curious. No, I wouldn't say curious. I think I think those BPs are kind of to be expected. Some people raise an eyebrow that they voted for Nudex, but obviously Nudex is the exchange to go to if you're EOS project. So if somehow they got knocked out of the top EPF, I don't think that's a good thing for the ecosystem.
I think for now, since it's our only exchange, I'm really happy that they voted for Nudex. I'd like Nudex to stay prominent, and but I would like to see. I'd like to see them go out on a limb a little bit. Those are they were pretty run of the mill.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see them prop up a BP that's maybe just on the margin and get them into the top 21. That would be pretty cool to see. That's them making a choice about what kind of projects they want to support based on what that BP is doing. So, but they had supporting Greymass. I think is great. I think that I think that's I'm glad to see that the real obvious stuff at least is kind of more cemented now. Because I imagine with all those votes, I mean those BPs got to feel pretty good about hanging on to their position. So
I wonder if I think even with the vote, Greymass is still not top 21.
Yeah, that's they're just out of there, right?
Yeah, 37.
Yeah.
So,
which as I said, I think it'd be nice if they could just push someone like Greymass into it, but
But it also could goes to show just how, I won't say how little, but it's not as 94 million votes sounds a lot, but when you consider that in order to get to the top 21, you need to have almost 300 million votes.
Yeah.
So yes, they could shift things around quite dramatically, but can they single-handedly handpick block producers? Not really.
No, not really. But yeah, I think mostly they can provide an example template. Once they refine the exact criteria, and they've really started doing this for over the next 6 months, I think that'll happen. People will start looking to them for, well, I'm just going to mirror Block.One's votes. So that carry-on effect might happen where some people align their votes, or at least to some degree, right? Maybe not everything, but they might say, yeah, they support them. Cool. It'd be nice to see Greymass, at least a little closer. What I'd like to see actually is the top 30 block producers rotate frequently. It would be cool if 15 through 30, it could be any given one, because it keeps everyone on their toes. I feel like it keeps the competition lively. So that would be my hope for EOS in terms of how it the stuff kind of matures.
Yeah, I think that will happen because they said that, and BitShares, which was the project before Steemit and EOS, they actually had a built-in rotating system in their block producers. So I'm pretty sure they'll be it's not built into the system just because EOS needs to be a lot more reliable than something like BitShares.
Right.
But I think they'll be manually rotating votes for block producers too. So I think that'll happen. Other EOS news. Let's see. Sorry. Right. So Block.One gave out a ton of money. I think something like 1.5 million, according to EOS Writer, to a bunch of EOS projects, including one of our very own partner, Pummel. So congratulations, Pummel. As well as EOS Writer and a bunch of different projects. I can't be bothered to name them all. Some of them is well known. Some of them are well known, like EOS Writer, for example. But other ones are not. So, but I think I think this comes at an interesting time, which is about a month after like the community kind of called Block.One out for not providing support to EOS projects. So I think that backlash did some good, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a
Okay.
good. I mean, it's good to see some money getting out there. I mean, and with no strings attached, just like here's some money. I mean, I really wish that they had been maybe a little bit more upfront about how they were going to do things on this front, because I do think there's probably a few places where I think this just could have been a better opportunity for them from a marketing perspective. I just think they've kind of dropped the ball a bit on this front in terms of trying to attract to the ecosystems. I feel like everyone who's involved in EOS it's this group of people who know about it, and then there's not a ton of high profile advertising that they're doing. So this would have been a good opportunity, and I don't think they really leveraged it very well. But
well, I'm happy. I'm happy that Kevin's kind of taking over. Kevin from EOS New York has been a lot more active in terms of marketing and PR. I think he does a great job at that.
Yeah.
Hopefully he keeps it up and keeps that communication from Block.One coming. Okay, so to wrap up, I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up on what content is to come in the coming days, just because there's been a pretty big backlog of stuff that I still need to get out. So we had a birthday bash with Crown. We got a whole bunch of projects, a whole bunch of dApps come on and present. We had PixieOS, we had Predict IQ from Wikipedia, we had someone presenting the Wax blockchain. I went over discussion on the show as well as some Chintai and QUS. So all that content is still coming out. Huge backlog. Also sat down to talk with Sam from Wikipedia. Wikipedia obviously was one of the first and one of the well-funded EOS projects that's been leading the charge, and I would say arguably they are the biggest EOS dApp. Maybe not in like raw action number, but in terms of like notability and also people actually using it as a source of information, like as a website, visiting it. I think they're up there. So I sat down with him. We talked a little bit about what they're doing with Wikipedia and Predict IQ, and how they're really shifting the focus quite a bit into DeFi. It was kind of strange to me when I first heard it as well. Prediction market and a basically encyclopedia. What's that got to do with decentralized finance? But he explained to me, and it makes a lot of sense. And even though I can't explain it to you in the next 3 minutes, I think after you sit down and listen to the podcast, you walk away with a good understanding of what the direction they're heading. So that's coming out. We're gonna have. I'm in the middle of scheduling an interview with the Telos founder, Douglas, and I'm gonna have another chat with Ryan from Chintai. So lots of content coming out. Sorry if it has not been coming out sooner, but it's on the way.
Very nice, Jack. Excited to see what you're going to post about.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like we lost Paul. So
Paul
if
said he had
you
to step away for a sec.
okay, well I guess that's kind of our cue to end the show. So, oh Brian, did you? I know you're a great listener, but you're not much of a talker. Let me know if you want something to chip in and let people know.
No, I'm good. You guys covered a lot of material.
Okay, cool. So thank you again for listening. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, especially if you're in the US at the moment. A little bit extra touchy there. And yeah, and we'll see you again next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Ciao, ciao.